the pictures that are very important key in this documentary are in an exhibition in the entrance hall of the Uniunea Cinema, and they can be seen during the festival. All these pictures, shot on film of course, in '89 by Rebeli, can be seen, so I recommend going and seeing them. And then I would also like to introduce you. You are an internationally awarded filmmaker and visual artist. Your work spans, as far as I can see that, from documentary to fiction to experimental, but you also do amazing commercials, very visually very strong. And your work has been shown from the MoMA in New York to the Barbican Center in London to the Film Festival of Oberhausen, which is a very renowned film festival for experimental film. So I'm really glad to have you here. And I would like to start with my first question about the subtitle of the film, Discovery After 30 Years. In what sense could you explain the word discovery to me in this context?
Yeah, discovery means that after '89 I did not meet these people anymore. And also, maybe I can start. Actually, it was also discovered for myself that last year in summer I was cleaning up in the apartment, and my boxes from faculty were like still in the same order, and by coincidence I found, or actually I watched my negatives and the prints from that time, and somehow I really tried to recall the moments. Dori, you have been there. You did these pictures, but it was hard to get the emotions back, what really happened. So I knew that I was there. I was doing these photos during my first year of studies, and and since then I did not publish them. These photos are really unique and unexposed until now, and I'm starting now an exhibition tour with this through good institutes and also Romanian cultural institutes worldwide in New York and so on. And so maybe it's very interesting to see if I can find some of these people again. And so that was the motivation to start this discovery and adventure trip, which was actually almost the whole year I was scouting for the people, and the last person, if you didn't realize it, she's living in Madrid. She's in Spain, in Madrid.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And that would be my next question. Actually, how long did it take? I didn't know if you knew the people you shot in '89, back on film, of course. But I didn't know if you have any contact with them, or if it took, how long did it take to actually find them, and also to take the interviews?
Yeah, maybe I was to add a little bit before. My parents, actually we immigrated in '74, so I was 8 years old, and we arrived in Cologne on the 25th of December, so it was Christmas, first Christmas Day in Germany. For me it was amazing to see so many illuminated trees and lights and so on. And 15 years later, I came back in '89 to visit my grandparents for Christmas again. And I entered Romania on the 17th, and like a few hours later, all borders were closed. And nobody could get in or out, so actually I was stuck in a way, but actually I was stuck in a crucial situation which determined, in a way, my future career. Because that moment was, as a young photographer, I was at that time, I just had like few films with me, and I did not know what my future will be. But yes, I was overwhelmed by the spirit of the people, and so I was with them. But to come back to your question, I did not know the people anymore. So I left in '74, imagine 15 years I left as a kid, and then coming back in '89, all these people, maybe they knew me. Oh, this is totally from the family, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but I was just around them and then doing photography, so it was even very hard 30 years later again to find those people. So I was relying only on some, this might be pizza, AaRC.ro, you know, and so on. You have to go to that village or in this town. So I went there with the album and said, oh, look, I have a picture of you. And then this person is opening the album, said, but that's not me. And I'm having a whole shooting day prepared to make an interview, and he's saying, no, I'm not on this image. So, you know, I was relying always on some explanation and interpretation of people who, so I went to the mayor, so maybe there are some people or some older people who worked at that time, they maybe can help me and so on. So this is how the investigation started.
But you came back to Romania with the book already, with the pictures.
You mean now?
When you made the film?
Yes, exactly. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, that was the point. As a photographer, and also later when I worked as a director and cinematographer, I experienced that having the camera in front of my eyes, or front of my head, it's actually also an emotional protection from what you see and what you do there exactly. So I could not recall if I was afraid during that time. I cannot remember, you know? So I was thinking, okay, if I'm coming back and find these people and they tell me something, how the situation and the moments and this day, during those days were, that I can remember something, but maybe comes back to my own memory. So that was the basic motivation at the beginning. And yes, so I get from one character to another.
And do you think that the fact that we had this book and we showed the pictures to the people and they recalled while looking at the pictures, I mean, I think personally that it's an important factor than going there and just asking, remember me, do you remember what happened in '89? I mean, you also think that without the pictures, the film would be completely different?
Yes, anyhow, my experience during this year, although it's the 30th anniversary year, is that many Romanian people do not want to talk about the revolution anymore. Actually, that was the downside of my investigation. People I found, also like 3 or 4 characters, also one policeman from that time, he did not want to talk about it during about that period. And also the ability of ordinary people to analyze it 30 years back, what happened. They went through so many difficulties and so many expectations and hopes were betrayed during the last years, decades, that they really are fed up talking about it. So yeah, this is one side or one learning which I took from this, let's say, adventure trip on tracing those people, that the atmosphere in Romania is not so positive and it's quite controversial what happened and what is the meaning of revolution nowadays.
Mr. Doblivoi, are you of Serbian origin?
Yes.
But your family immigrated to Germany?
Yes, because...
To Cologne?
Yes, to Cologne, because my father wanted first to stay in Belgrade. He fled to Belgrade first, but according to agreement between Ceausescu and Tito, there was an agreement that the refugees should be sent back to Romania. So that was impossible for him, so he continued his immigration to Germany.
Have you had time now to investigate about how many Serbs still live in St. Petru or around that place?
I think about 300.
That's fine.
Yes, 300, but most of, let's say, the small villages around Timișoara, most of the people went to Timișoara to live, and so you count around 25 to 35,000 Serbs living in the Banat area. That's Timiș.
So we've heard that we still have a Serbian Catholic Church in St. Petru.
Orthodox, certain Orthodox.
Orthodox?
Yes. And
Oh, sorry, yes. It's not a German one.
yeah, there was a German, so actually there was three nationalities. The Catholic Church you saw, it's a German church, but in this moment only one old woman of German origin still lives in St. Petru.
So we were lucky you went on a vacation trip, Christmas trip to visit your grandparents.
Yes.
Otherwise, would you have thought of, as a student, of coming later and have a view and try to understand the revolution or do some shots and
I did.
maybe in a film?
Yeah, I did. So actually, this film, maybe it's my third film about Romania, and maybe I can close the trilogy now, because I did, starting in 92, 93, I did the first film about my village, which went very successful internationally and was shown everywhere. And then I also did, it's called Legend Yuan. And Yuan is actually the character who is living in the Stasia. So actually I met him after 26 years. He is living there. But in the first film, he's one of my main characters. And the second film was The Time Traveler, about a deaf-mute, illiterate uncle from my village who never left St. Petru and even did not know that the Earth is round. And we went for an adventure to America to search for his sister who disappeared also 30 years ago. So that was a very strong trip.
What about your feelings about the revolution, about the many people that died and all that tragedy?
What can I say?
You were very young at the time. What were you studying?
I was studying art at the, in Germany, it's a famous art school, Volkwang-Schule, where also like was in studying as well. And you can study acting, directing, photography, sculpture, and so on. So, yeah.
You talked earlier about this idea of having your camera as an emotional barrier, and I was wondering if, while making this movie, did you start to remember what you were feeling at that time? That would be my question.
Actually, yes. Emotionally, I could find a way back to that time. But physically, I thought maybe I could recall kind of diary. How was the 18? How did I wake up? What did I eat? What did I wear? What, this kind of ordinary things. I was thinking, hey, I cannot recall any of these days concrete moments of that week. But when the people told me certain things about for example, about the terrorists, I forgot actually about that fact. I forgot completely. And then when I saw that this guy, this microphone, was saying, hey, Imperia ma ajuns teroriștii, duceți la acasă, blah, blah. By this, some of the emotions really came back. And so, the puzzle came together somehow. And I don't know, at a certain point, I thought, man, I'm having now 9 characters. Maybe you know the famous film Rashomon, it has like 3 different stories. And I was thinking, now I'm putting things together to see how the story of the revolution unfolded, began in a rural area. Because I think this is the unknown part of the revolution, that maybe people heard about it and read about it, that also in the countryside people revolted against the system, but there's no images about it. And so I thought it's very important to come out with these pictures and film so that I can share it.
Any other questions?
I have a question here.
Yeah.
I'm Oliver, a journalist from cauză. Let's imagine your story happens in East Germany against Honecker. Do you think the people would be so unhappy like your characters in the movie? It's a personal question, I know.
I know that if you're looking on the present election, in what's going on in Germany, you still feel clearly, even after 30 years, there's a separation in society in terms of emotions, in terms of what people experience. Because the Western Germany is telling all the time, you were wrong, you did wrong. And how can, let's say, how can an individual person say, I've been to elementary school, I finished studies, I fell in love, I have children, why was this wrong? You know, you cannot blame the people living in a different system saying that was wrong. And somehow there's still no real unity in Germany nowadays. And I think, come back to the answer, they don't feel sorry in that way we expect them to feel.
If you remember how people reacted when you made the photos, or if they reacted in any way.
Yes. Actually, the first character, the youngest one, which actually personally I cannot know him because he's born 77 and I left 74, but he remembered me. And also Adriana, the last woman, when through many different channels and links, a person gave me her number and she said, I was waiting all my life that person who was there somehow, I did not know you, because she's 19, I was 22, that she knew that somebody took pictures of that, for her, very important moment, you know? And actually she's also a little bit sad about that. Her role and the importance of what people did in St. Peter is not relevant, or people, you know, don't think it's important. And so when I contacted her, she was really a relief for her that this is the person she remembers that someone took the pictures. And I think maybe one more person remembered that photos were taken, but the other ones, nobody knew it.
I wanted to know what was the reason for you to film this film in that way. I thought at some point a little bit missing your emotional involvement in the film. So because you were mentioning before that the camera was a kind of protection, I felt it in this film as well a little bit, but I'm not sure. And yeah, so the reason why you filmed the film in this way.
Don't get the question.
Okay, then I directly, I felt that there was an emotional detachment a little bit. Also the way you put the pictures in the development. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
Yes, okay, this I can answer. The way my approach was, first of all, imagine that I'm coming with the album. First hand, we just talked on the phone that I will come and I will film. So we never met before, we didn't even drink coffee before. So it's very intimate first meeting where I cannot pretend to be emotionally overwhelmed or big friend of them. You know, you're coming like a visitor on very neutral ground, and I try to behave with the biggest respect for these people. So, and I just want to react like they reacted, very authentically.
It's also their story, and by the film is also yours.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, I'm happy to be with them together now in one film, because all the people who were there I did a contribution, and actually should remember that was a very brave act to make this happen.
There's one more question.
There's some pictures of people who were killed. Are these pictures that you took, and where were they killed?
Yes, yeah, yes. So after 2 days, so the revolt in my village, like from the chronology, so on the 16th started in fișarea, on 17 Adriana came back, it was a Sunday, and on 18 actually the people should have go to work. Like Pinky said, he was waiting for the truck to bring them to Ferma, so they started on 18 pe strada mare să facă revoltă acolo, and 18-19 I was in St. Petru, and on the 20 I went first time to Timișoara, because I wanted to see what is going there as well. And so 20, 21, 22 I was also in Timișoara, and back and forth. And yes, these dead bodies, I was first in Piazza Opere, I was upstairs on the balcony, and then some information occurred that pe cimitir, pe strada Lipovei, there are some exhumating some cadavers which were brought with a truck from Spital Județean Chișinău, and they were thrown in this in earth, and then because somebody must have told to or informed someone, and then they start the night before, so it was actually obvious fresh earth, and they started to dig the people out. And actually I was there maybe half an hour after they took most of the bodies out. And then I also went to the hospital to see wounded people. I mean, I'm preparing now a photo book with many more pictures, and in the exhibition there are also a little bit more than which are shown here.